Okay, let's keep going here. I apologize. You guys know that my computer freezes up quite often. So anyhow, 29, just finishing that up. We had factored it. The solutions were 2 and 6. I had done 2 more problems before I realized that the computer froze up on me. When we looked at number 31, it equaled 0, and in this case, we could factor out an n, because they both have an n. So I factored an n out. N times n is n squared minus n times 6 is 6n. And then 6 makes 0, and what makes n 0? 0 makes n 0. So just 6 and 0. 33, we have w's all over the place. So what we did was we made it equal 0. I subtracted 12w to each side. I'm making this side equal 0, and I added 48 to each side. So this all goes to 0. We put together the negative 16 and negative 12w's. That's a negative 28w. So 2w squared minus 28w plus 48. When I look at these, I know that 2 is a common factor of all these, so I factored a 2 out. 2 times w squared, 2 times 14, 2 times 24. We cover up the 2. I drew my 2 sets of parentheses, and I had w and w to get w squared. We look at our last term, which is a positive. It's either a plus times a plus or a negative times a negative. Well, I need negative somehow, so it's negative, negative. And 2 and 12 times to 24, 2 and 12 add to 14. So we have 2, w minus 2, w minus 12 is 0. So the answers are 2 as well as 12. Okay? All right. So next one, that was 33. Let's look at question number 39. Now they say solve it any method that you want. Okay? 39, any way that you want. So basically it boils down to, as of right now, if they give us something that has more than one variable, then we're going to have to use factor it. If they just give us one variable, we're going to square root it. So we have u squared equals negative 9u. Well, we have 2 variables, two u's, so we're going to have to factor this thing. But it has to equal 0, so I'm going to add 9u to each side. We cannot put these together. They're not like terms. So we have u squared plus 9u equals 0. This is a common factor here. U, this is very similar to this question right here. Factor out a u times u is u squared plus u times 9 is 9u. So what makes 0? Negative 9 and 0. Really similar to question number 31. Okay? Let's look at number 41. This is a nice one. This is a really nice one. You're going to like this one. Negative x plus 9 equals what? Where are we at? Equals 64. Okay. So we said earlier that whatever you're squaring has to be by itself. Well, what's squared is x plus 9. We got to get rid of this negative, which is a negative 1. I'm going to divide by negative 1, divide by negative 1. These cancel. We have x plus 9 squared equals negative 64. Okay? 64 divided by negative 1 is negative 64. Now we square root. Now there's something we never talked about yet. And it's something we're going to talk about more in section 3-2. The square root of negative 64. You might be tempted to say it's negative 8. Because 8 times 8 is 64, so the answer is negative 8, right? No. Negative 8 times itself, negative 8 times negative 8 is a positive 64. What number can you times by itself and get negative 64? Now, if you're going, well, we can times 8 and negative 8. That gets negative 64. But those are not the same number. How do you times a number by itself and get a negative? Guess what? You can't. Not with real numbers. Okay? That has no real solution. Okay? There's no real solution. You can't multiply something by itself and get a negative right now. We'll talk about that in section 3-2. Something called imaginary numbers. That's literally what it's called. That's coming up here in a few days. Okay? So that one's done. Let's look at number 43. Question 43. What do we have here on 43? So we have 7, x minus 4 squared. X minus 4 squared minus 18 is 0. Okay, so we only have one x, so we can use square roots to solve this one. Okay, so we have to get what's squared by itself, so let's add 18, So we have 7, x minus 4 squared equals 18. Man, these can some ugly numbers, aren't they? Yep, these are ugly numbers. Oh, wait, nope, equals 10. So that's 28. Okay, they're not quite as bad as I thought. We divide by 7, we divide by 7. We have x minus 4 squared equals 28 divided by 7, which is 4. And then we square. Now, these are going to have answers because square root of 4, we can do that. We can't take the square root of a negative. But square root of 4, and don't forget the plus or minus symbol. So So x minus 4 could equal, the square root of 4 is 2, so plus or minus 2. I'm going to write 2 or negative 2. Because I still have to add 4 here and here and here. So x equals 2 plus 4 or negative 2 plus 4. So the answers are 6 as well as 2. It could be either one of those. And you need to put both of those in order to get full credit. Okay? So number 47. Okay, almost done here. 47. Now, something new. And it's not a huge deal here. Okay, they say on number 47 to find the zeros of a function. Find the zeros. What the heck are zeros? Well, the fancy way of saying it is the zeros are what can you plug in for x to make it 0. Okay? Well, so what that simply means is this. So on 47, it says g of x equals what? X squared plus 6x plus 8. X squared plus 6x plus 8. So, what I just said was the zeros mean what I could plug in for x to make it equal 0. So here's what you do. Cross that out and make it 0. Okay? And is that good? Do we want it to equal 0? Yeah. Quadratics are supposed to equal 0. There's two x's. We're going to have to factor this thing. So we draw our two sets of parentheses. There's no negatives, so plus and plus. Times to 8, add to 6, 2 and 4. My zeros are negative 2 and negative 4. Negative 2 plus 2 is 0, negative 4 plus 4. So if I was to plug in negative 2 for these x's, I'd get 0 for an answer. If I plug in negative 4 for these x's, I'd also get 0 for an answer. 49. Okay, so we have, again, it says the 0, so it says h of x equals something. X squared plus 7x minus 30. X squared plus 7x. Okay, so again, the zeros make it equal 0. 7x minus 30. Okay, we have two x's. We have to factor this thing. So we draw our two sets of parentheses, x and x. This one's a little tougher. We have not come across this yet. Our last term, we always ignore the middle term when we look at our last term. To make a negative, we multiply a positive times a negative to get a negative, okay? Now, let's list off the different ways I can times to get 30. 1 times 30, 2 times 15, 3 times 10, 5 times 6. We want them to add up to 7. Well, these add up to 31. These add up to 17. These add up to 13. These add up to 11. None of them add up to 7. But what we're forgetting is this. One of these is a negative. Okay, where do I put the negative? If I put the negative here, these add up to 29. If I put the negative here, these add up to 1. Well, how do I put the negative to have them add up to 7? Right here. Positive 10 and a negative 3 add up to 7. So positive 10, negative 3, so my answers are negative 10 and positive 3. That was a little tougher one. When it ends in a negative, it's a little bit tougher. Okay? Almost done. A lot of information in this section. This is a very important section. I would probably watch this video at least a couple times, okay, unless you have it down really, really, really well. Okay, two more problems to do. 51. 51 and 53, then we're done. So 51 we have, it says find the zeros. F of x is 2x squared. Then what? Minus 2x minus 12. Minus 2x minus 12. Again, the zeros mean plug in 0 for f of x. 0 equals 2x squared minus 2x minus 12. Now, there is a common factor here. Okay, I can factor 2 out of each of these, but not an x because that has no x. So we put 2 times x squared minus 2 times 1x minus 2 times 6. We cover up this 2, don't look at it, draw your two sets of parentheses. X squared is x and x. Here's what you do not do. Students will see minus minus, they'll put minus minus. No, no. We ignored this for a minute and we look at our last term. To make a negative, it's got to be a positive and a negative. Not a negative, it's not negative negative. To make a negative, it's got to be a positive and a negative. And we want to times to negative 6, but add up to negative, there's a 1 there. Well, how do you times make 6? 1 and 6, and 2 and 3. It's supposed to add up to negative 1, but remember, one of these is negative. If I put the negative on the 3, 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. 2 plus negative 3 is negative 1. So positive 2, negative 3. So my solutions are negative 2 and positive 3. And again, what that means is if I was to plug in negative 2 for all these x's, I'd get 0 for an answer. If I plug in 3 for all these x's, I would also get 0 for an answer. Last one, 53. Find the zeros. So we have, it says g of x is x squared. X squared, then what? Plus 22x plus 121. Plus 22x plus 121. So we set this thing equal to 0 to find the zeros. 0 is x squared plus 22x plus 121. There's no common factor besides 1, so we draw our two sets of parentheses. X squared is x and x. We'll look at our last term, it's a positive. So it's either a positive positive or a negative negative. There are no negatives, so positive positive. And if you know your times tables, this one's not that bad. It's times to get 121. 11 times 11. And that works because 11 plus 11 is 22. So my answers are negative 11 and negative 11, so just negative 11, just one, okay? All right, so that's the assignment. I don't expect you to do this in one day, okay? You'll have, I think this is due Tuesday, at the end of the day, Tuesday. We're gonna start section 3.2 next Thursday, so basically you have almost a week to do this, okay? So we're gonna start section 3.2 next Thursday, November 12th, a week from today. And if you have any questions, just email me and I'll try to help you as much as I can. Anyhow, hope to see you guys soon.